So I'm going to talk about the state of the HPSF 1 year after the launch. So as you know, and as Christian mentioned, we launched at ISC last year with a nice BOF session. And we said a lot of things that we were going to do. And I wanted to start, I think one of the things that we've done over the past year is we've really sort of congealed what HPSF is and what we're going for. So I wanted to start with that. So what is HPSF? It's a neutral hub for open source, high performance software. And we're trying to support software projects in order to grow them and build adoption, to build their communities, to enable their development efforts. And then finally, we want to lower barriers to productive use of them so that more people can get the benefits of this software and so that we can grow the communities. And I think growing the community is really the important point here. And the sort of theme with all the products in HPSF is performance, portability, and productivity. We want to assemble some kind of HPC software ecosystem that looks like that. There are members in HPSF, and they're the ones who really support the community. So they're the people who provide the funding. They are the organizations that have a stake in the software. And they can be either HPC providers, so that can include hardware, software, services, or HPC users. For both of those, we anticipate that they both want to leverage HPSF projects. And so these are folks who are getting the benefits of the products and who want to see them succeed in the long run. They may want to see that, on the provider side, they may want to see that their products are well supported by the HPSF software. So by joining and by supporting these projects, they can work with the teams and make sure that their platforms are represented in sort of the user base of these software products. And they can get mindshare, right? They can get people thinking about advanced hardware, different accelerators, different types of HPC centers or HPC services, and collaborate with the projects. And so we really want the members of HPSF, the actual providers and the sort of industry side, to be involved with the projects, and to be talking to them. Likewise, users, so scientists and analysts, sites that support them, like the big HPC centers, they also, we anticipate, want to connect with the community. So they might want to connect with people who can, or projects that can help them use the latest CPUs, GPUs, AI architectures. They might want to talk to the projects and say, hey, our users have these pain points. We want to see these projects improved in ways X, Y, and Z, and we'd really like to work closely with them to do that. And then also, knowing that there's a community to rely on de-risks decisions of software products to use. And so these are the benefits that we see for joining HPSF as a member. For projects, we are really about community building. We are trying to help the projects build a community that's grounded in neutral governance. So we don't want people to think that the projects are sort of owned by one organization. We want the projects to have sort of an independent home where folks can sort of have faith that those things will continue to exist beyond their current state. We want the projects to work together. And so we think that in the HPC software ecosystem, historically, there's a lot of projects that are maybe in sort of isolated teams, maybe don't work with a broader community. We want to bring as big of a community as possible together and have these projects working together on common needs. Sharing knowledge, and then also participating in working groups that Damien's going to talk about later. And I wanted to put this up here just to really focus on sort of what's HPSF bringing to the table. HPSF, as you know, is part of Linux Foundation, which is it's a nonprofit. It's its own legal entity. It's not affiliated or biased towards any particular company or any particular laboratory or any particular other sort of organization. And that's good. Sustaining open source projects requires, first and foremost, a community. Without contributors, without users, there really isn't much point for the software to exist, right? Like we want to build out useful products for the ecosystem. And building a community around something requires trust. If people are going to use it, they need to know that the projects will continue to be available, that anyone can use them, and that no organization could potentially decide that they want to use the project only for themselves, or they want to take it down, or they want to impose restrictions on its use. And they want to know that the projects are open to new contributors and new ideas. So we want people to be able to be involved in the projects, and neutrality helps with that, right? It's much more approachable than if the project was owned by, say, one organization that has its own set of goals. And then trust, once we have it, gets us users. We want to get adoption for these projects. We want to help them grow. And then eventually we expect that the users some of the users will become contributors. And I just don't see another way to sustain software that's for broad community usage. So neutral open governance ensures that we can build the broadest possible communities. That's what it's about. It's making sure that we bring the people to the software and keep it sustained over time by just increasing the interest and increasing the activity around it. All right, so that's what we're about. So what have we done so far? We've spun up the governance, and so Heidi and Bill are going to talk about the governing board and the TAC a little bit. We've grown the set of members and projects actually more than I expected that we would in the first year. We established some project lifecycle criteria, so we want to mentor projects along a path so that they learn how to maintain their projects in a sustainable way. We've started up working groups, and we've done some project support. So we've provided some resources for projects where they needed it. So communication frameworks, websites, logos, help with onboarding to HPSF. And then finally, we've organized this conference where we're trying to really get the community together around these ideas and get people involved in different directions. All right, so at launch time, we had 3 associate members. Let's see, it's, I think 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, no, 1, 2, 3, yeah, 7 generals and 4 premier members. And 9 new members have joined HPSF since launch. I think one of the criticisms that we got after the ISC BOF was that this looked like an overly DOE-centric organization, I guess, or overly Department of Energy-centric. And so we're really happy to have had, so CEA joined right after launch. ULIC, we've got another European institution, so that's in Germany. We've got Berkeley Lab on board. ARM has joined, they're in the UK. A number of universities, so UCL, also in London, Tennessee Tech, University of Tokyo, and TU Munich. And then finally, we just had RIKEN join from Japan as well. So I think we've really increased the diversity of representation worldwide within the set of members in HPSF. So we brought on board more European members, more Asian members. And I think this is looking really good for the sort of worldwide nature of the collaboration. We're really trying to bring the worldwide HPC community together. We've also had new projects join, and we continue to have projects join. So when we started, we had sort of 4 build and deployment tools. We had Amrex and Trilinos in solvers and frameworks. We had HPC Toolkit, Cocos, WarpX, and VizCores. We've had a number of projects express interest in also joining the foundation based on sort of what we've done here. And so we had Chapel, which is a well-known HPC programming model, environment modules, which is used everywhere at different HPC centers. HPX has joined, so another programming model for HPC, and OpenShami, which is a project that sort of started out of LANL, but is bringing HPC centers together to coordinate around provisioning infrastructure, have all joined. So we're continuing to grow. And we have a few projects in the pipeline now. You can look at the TAC repository on GitHub to see project proposals. And Bill will talk a little bit more about that. We've stood up governance. And so, is this working? OK, there we go. So like most Linux Foundation projects, we have this split between technical and financial governance. So there's the governing board, which makes financial decisions. That's sort of the core governing body of HPSF. The governing board can spawn committees for things like events like this one, for outreach and sort of marketing of projects and making sure that folks know about them. And then sort of the beating heart of HPSF is the Technical Advisory Council. So that's where the projects get together with the members and talk about technical directions. And the TAC can spin up working groups to form collaborations and to work together among the projects. So I'm not going to steal Damien's thunder. He's going to talk a bit about the working groups later. But that's really where the collaborative technical activities happen within HPSF. The representation is a little different from other Linux Foundation projects for HPSF. So the governing board, we have one member for each premier member of HPSF. And then the other part of the governing board is sort of split in half between the general members and the technical advisory committee reps. And we wanted some technical representation on the governing board. That's why we did that. So generally, that's a fixed number of representatives, but ours kind of scales with the number of premier members so that we keep this sort of 25-25-50 ratio. The TAC itself is mainly projects, and that's going to continue to grow over time. So each premier member gets a representative on the TAC, but then each project, each TAC project gets a representative, and each of those gets a vote. And so we have sort of the financial governance with some technical representation so that the needs of the TAC get funneled up to the governing board. And then we have the technical advisory committee that decides what to work on. Bill's going to talk about this a little bit more as well. But we've established this project lifecycle. So we have these badges now for emerging, established, and core projects. And so when you onboard to HPSF, you get put into one of these categories. And really, we're trying to have a progression to sustainability, where the core projects are really used broadly by lots of organizations and have lots of contributors. And the established projects, those maybe have one contributor. And emerging ones are new, but still important projects to the ecosystem. And then finally, for the coming year, we want to continue to onboard new projects and members. We want to spin up more working groups. And we're going to try to prepare for an even larger HPSFCon next year, hopefully with even more activity around the working groups. And finally, we're going to focus on growing project communities and getting more adoption, because that's what this is about. So thanks.